2005, I was 41. We did get pregnant, and we were so excited about being pregnant, and shared it with a lot of people, and had people praying, and yet I miscarried. And then I think probably at that point, I had people praying, and I still had a desire to be pregnant, but I think I knew at that point my chances had gone down. And then in 2007, we got pregnant again, and I just knew that this was our time. And then we actually miscarried after 12 weeks. Being that we were 39 when we got married, we both kind of knew, and me probably more than Audie, just the fact that as far as having kids, it was going to be, could be a little more difficult. And sure enough, we did kind of run into problems, but just knowing, I think for me, I just knew, well, we're not going to have kids. And so I just began my grieving process, went full time into what I was doing as far as my coaching, and kind of was just looking on that this is not what God has for us.
I think what happened for me is that it was more coming into reality of what it looked like God was not going to have happen, and that was a sad thing for me, because I always saw myself as a father. I always wanted to be a dad.
And as he walked away, he actually felt sadness for the first time, because he had hoped and hoped and hoped that God was going to give us kids. And at that moment, he thought, we're not going to have kids. And it was like God was saying, let go of this symbolic, place that I'm bigger than that, and I can do more than that. Then this past summer on July 19th, I was talking to Audie, and I said, honey, you know how when I'm coaching women, a lot of times I coach single women, and they'll say to me, well, I want to be married, but I don't want to date a guy who's been married before who has kids or something like that, and I have to help them realize that God's perfect will and their heart being open to God's perfect will is a huge part of God giving us what His perfect will is. And when you're telling God, I don't want this and I don't want that, I said, I wonder if that's why we weren't able to have our own kids, because we specifically prayed that we would not have a child with special needs because we were older trying to get pregnant. And I said, I don't want to do that. I said, I want to have God's perfect will. I'm stopping that now. I said, so God, I will take any baby you give me, special needs or not. And Audie looked at me and said, amen.
Have we been actually asking God for what our desires are, rather than saying, God, we want your best? And, she prayed a prayer, and I said amen to it.
Less than 24 hours later, we got a call from Elaine Garrison, and she said, my sister-in-law knows of someone who had a baby yesterday, and I don't know how to tell you this, but she said God told her that you and Audie are supposed to be the parents of this baby. So within 24 hours of saying, God, we'll take any baby that you give us, I immediately burst into tears, because I knew what had happened. I knew that I had been, and both of us had been telling God what we wanted, and that our hearts really weren't open to, we didn't really have faith that He was going to give us His good and perfect will, and that would be good. And at that moment that we said, yeah, God, we trust you that way, and give up, thinking that you know what God's perfect will is. And so God's perfect will for us was down in Greenville, South Carolina, and we drove down the next day on July 21st. And we fell in love with it the first time we saw her. I can't even really explain, and I'm so thankful to the Reynolda family. You guys have given to us in some ways, and I believe that Tyner is a direct result of this church. That's what I was thinking. Oh, kiss her daddy. Kiss her daddy.
Way to go, Doodle Boy.
Kiss her daddy.
Well, Tyner is such a blessing to me. I just feel like I've ever seen anybody that has so much joy and so much exuberance for life. And it's interesting that you never knew that a child could give more back to you than you actually give to her, it seems like, but she is absolutely precious. She's more than we can think, desire, or imagine. She's amazing. And she would echo that.